He's always so loud about this. So this is Antigoni from the Student Music Network. And if I could tell my younger self I'd be doing this right now, she would be very, very proud. I'm joined by Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees. How are you?
I am great. It's great to be here hanging with you. That's funny. A lot, I get that a lot actually. Oh, my high school self, if I could tell, or something like that.
It's very
I
cliche, but kind of grew up with your music,
No, that's
and
super
it's
cool. I mean,
amazing.
it's fun to think that we are at this level of like we're in like the second act of our career. Like we
Yeah,
came up and we had some hits and it was like we connected in a big way with some people. And we just kind of were like, okay, that's cool, but like we never went away. And here we are coming
yeah,
back and with putting out
which
some
is
music that
very,
started
very exciting.
connecting. And yeah, I know it's amazing. So thanks for saying that. It's
Yeah,
great.
of course. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to talk about all about your big return with your latest single, your journey, and so much more. I promise I'm not gonna talk about Hey the Delilah the whole time. So first things first, you recently released a new song called Spaghetti Tattoo, which to me brings this wholesome nostalgia that kind of inherently comes with being Plain White Tees. It kind of brings it to 2023, the age of social media and DMs and situationships. And I hear that it was also inspired by a true story. Tell me a bit more about how the song came about and yeah, the story obviously.
Yeah, it definitely was. You can't really make up something like a spaghetti tattoo. Yeah, it was so basically, so the long version, I'll tell the long slash short version of the story.
Okay.
In the pandemic, obviously we were all kind of living on our phones, right? It's like that's the only way to stay
Yeah.
connected with people and to the world. I was doing a lot of little online, concerts or little things like that just to stay connected. Basically started talking to this girl who was out in California, and I go back and forth between California and Chicago, LA and
Yeah.
Chicago. And so I kind of started up just a speaking kind of relationship with this girl. And then once we were finally able to start traveling again and everything, got vaccinated, um, came out here, and I was finally able to hang out with this girl after so long of just DMing and texting and stuff. And yeah, so it happened to be while I was out in LA doing a week of just co-writing, just like every day I was like in a little session with some friends and just writing a song, for like
Yeah.
5 or 6 days in a row. And it was like the last night I had here in Los Angeles, I met up with this girl finally. And it was just, it wasn't anything crazy, but we went out to dinner and it was just so nice to like actually be able to sit there with someone and just enjoy a night. We had a little bit of wine, just talking about all kinds of things. And it's like I had already known her because we talked for so long, but it was our first time actually meeting up and it was great. And so then yeah, the next day was a session, and I actually had a flight that night to leave. So it was literally like a 3 hour session. It was really quick, and it was like, and I just started talking like, oh man, it's so cool. Last night I went out with this girl, and it was like such a fun night. And I think I might have mentioned like, or somebody, maybe one of one of my friends asked like, oh well, was there like they were already thinking about it, like, oh, well, like fishing for details, like, oh,
Yeah.
was there anything super interesting or different or
Yeah.
memorable? I'm like, well, she had like a spaghetti tattoo, and it was just right then. It was like, okay, well, start. The song really wrote itself
Yeah.
in a matter of like, yeah, 2 or 3 hours, and it's just a recounting of the night, basically.
And kind of like going off of that, it was really nice to see the music video that you did with the puppets, kind of like paying homage to like a lot of kind of romantic comedies and films in
To those
general. Yeah,
movies,
exactly.
totally, yeah, yeah.
How did you come up with that idea?
Well, it's funny because we knew we were going to do a video for Spaghetti
Mm,
Tattoo. And by the way, this is just the first of many. We
mm,
have a whole album. We're like 95% done with the full album. So
amazing.
we're going to start dropping songs, like a bunch of them leading up to like an album release this year. So,
That's
so
really cool.
Spaghetti Tattoo is just the beginning. But yeah, so we knew we were going to make a video for this song. We knew this would be the first one out.
Mm,
And it's funny because we were kind of talking about video, treatments with some directors and stuff. And it was like, man, the lyrics of this song are just so kind of specific that I felt like any treatment that didn't go with the lyrics was just like,
Mm.
I don't, I
Yeah.
didn't get it. But again, to just have me kind of doing the things in the song was also kind of generic or boring. So it was like, well, how do we just follow along with the song but make it fun? And it was actually Tim, our guitar player's idea to say like, oh, what if we did like puppets? And then we can like, they can be going on a date, but then we can have these little montages. And then that's when we started spitballing, like, oh yeah, we could do like little movie, like pay homage, like you said, to
Yeah.
movies and stuff. Like we have the Say Anything with the boombox, Titanic. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's like the little fun. My favorite part is the skinny dipping, where you see the little
Yeah.
puppet butts. You can't go wrong there. So yeah, it just turned into something where it was like instantly, as soon as that idea came, it was like, oh yeah, this is obviously like what we should do. It just felt right. And then the super talented director Ryan Blewett is his name. He directed it, and I believe his wife is the one that made all the puppets and all the art for the
Oh,
video.
that's
So
sick. That's amazing.
you know what I do
And
love in the spaghetti tattoo video, there is that moment where he's running past the movie theater and the marquee says spaghetti tattoo. So
right.
maybe that would be, and that kind of reminded me. Did you see that movie Licorice Pizza that came out last year with Paul Thomas Anderson? He directed it.
I haven't
It was
seen
like
it.
it was really cool. But for some reason, seeing Spaghetti Tattoo on that marquee of the movie theater, I was like, it almost seemed like an homage to Licorice Pizza, even though that had nothing to do with any.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, like to see like a song title, like on a movie marquee, it was like, okay, wait a minute, maybe there's something
Yeah.
there.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. Moving past that, obviously like your music and your songs are very ti like so timeless in my opinion, and I think that recent viral video that you had where you were singing to a little girl in the hospital like was pretty much proof of that. And I could feel myself tearing up just watching it. So I could only imagine like how you felt in that moment and how it feels in general to know that hey, the Delilah and like your music in general has had such an impact on people's life to this day. Like
Yeah, it's
how
crazy.
does yeah.
I mean, that moment especially, it was like, okay, like I kind of went into it like what you saw in the video is really how it went. Obviously we did the little teaser to fake her
Yeah.
out of like, oh, I'm gonna sing the song, but wait, I'm gonna, show up
Yeah.
in your hospital room. But yeah, I had never met her or seen her. So me kind of turning that corner and playing into her room, that was the first time I'd ever seen her or even, I had no idea kind of what I was walking into.
Yeah.
So then turning that corner and seeing she was just this tiny little thing on the bed. She was so cute. And it was like, okay, like as crazy as that moment was, like this was all about her. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm like any of my emotion or my feelings about it kind of went out the window. It was like, okay, I have to just make her happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, it wasn't until later where I even thought about the emotional aspect of it for myself because it was more about just like I got to do this for Delilah. So as sad as it seemed or as crazy as, the moment was, it was like, no, this is so happy and this is so full of love and so full of hope. That's what it's all about. So that's just kind of
Yeah.
where I got to in my mind just in that moment. But I mean, she was, oh my God, the sweetest. She's so cool. And she was so like smiley and happy. She definitely kind of made it easy. It
Yeah.
was a perfect little moment. And yeah, the fact that it went so crazy viral, like again, it was like almost like the song itself. Like, Hey There, Delilah
Mm.
is just this very intimate thing that I'm talking to this girl. And, you know, I didn't expect it to kind of blow up the way it did. Like I knew the song was good but I didn't think it would be a
Mm.
freaking worldwide hit. And it was the same thing like with the Delilah visit. It was like, cool, I'm just doing this for this one girl. And that's
Yeah.
all, like I said, it's all that I was kind of thinking about or worried about. And it kind of blew up and it touched so many other people and it made so many other people feel connected and feel that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's kind of part of our success. And like
Yeah.
spaghetti tattoo, it's like, cool, I'm just writing about this one little moment,
Yeah.
but other people are hearing it and feeling like relating it to their lives. And I don't know. Yeah, it seems like with some some of the best art is yeah, the smaller it is sometimes the better. The more you can feel it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, 100%. I fully agree with you on that. It's been a while, obviously, 16, 17 years since you released the song, but obviously you're out here, you're dropping an album and you're doing so well. My question is, what's the biggest change that you've seen in the music industry since you started?
Social media wasn't a thing back then when we started.
Exactly, yeah.
And so we would like literally like go make flyers for our shows that we'd play our local shows as a Chicago band, and we would like go hang out at other people's shows, like Jimmy Eat World would go be playing in Chicago, and we'd stand out in the cold and like with a stack of flyers and just hand it to everybody that walked out, like, oh, if you like them, come check us out. We're playing next week, blah blah blah. So it was just very a lot of times on our early tours, we would like go outside of we'd play a show, like we'd be opening for some band, and then at the end of the show, we'd go out with like acoustic guitars and sit out in the street while people are like leaving and be like, yeah, hey, we were the opening band, like play some songs and
Oh,
stuff. So
wow.
yeah, a lot of and nowadays you can kind of do that. You can hit a million people with like one YouTube video
Yeah.
nowadays, you know. Whereas back then it was like you really were forced to be like okay, how do we get an audience? How do we get people to even know who we are? So you kind of had to just be out there a lot more like physically. So yeah,
Mm,
that's a huge difference in the music business. Now it's like let's almost every song you hear on the radio now was a hit, like blew up on TikTok. So yeah, it's definitely always changing. But I think that the main thing that is all that will never change, is that like a good song is a good song. It's like
exactly, yeah.
nobody really, I mean, there's definitely things where something blows up and you're like, what? Like this is terrible. But for the most part, it's like something connects for a reason,
Mm,
like somebody can have 10 million, Instagram followers or TikTok followers, but unless they really do something good, that's not going to translate to sales or translate to a hit.
mm,
It still has to be good. And that's, I think, what will never change. And I think that is like, that's one thing where, okay, maybe we are kind of come from a different era or we have a different like mindset about
mm.
things, but like if we can make songs that are good enough, they're gonna find their lane or they're gonna find their way into people's hearts.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's where kind of it's the authenticity is, in a way.
Sure.
And I guess the Student Music Network is obviously a university student platform, and we always try to support student artists and upcoming talent as much as we can. So, kind of looking back at your journey, what's one
Mhm.
piece of advice that you'd give to any kind of young artist starting out now?
Well, what's funny is I'm like a weirdo. I'm like a super optimist. So I'm like we've had so many times through the band's career, especially early on, where it was like we had all our gear stolen out of our trailer, like we got in, accidents in the van or things like that, where it's like, a lot of people would say like, okay, screw this, like I'm
Mm,
going home. No, this isn't for me, whatever. But I just always felt like, but no, like this is all good. Like we can get through this, like we're good enough. We can do it. And so I feel like that is just one piece of advice that I would give. It's like you just have to really believe it. It's like if you really believe, and of course you have to actually be good because there's some, we see those horrible American Idol auditions where people think they're really good, but they're terrible. You actually have to be kind of good. But like the thing is, it's like if you just believe it and just don't stop, it's like find your way. Like I said, we were out in the cold passing out flyers. Find whatever the 2023 version of that is. Maybe it's posting all the time on social media. Just do it and figure out a way for your music to get heard. Um, and just don't quit. I think that's another thing. And like, okay, I'm kind of jumping around here. I
No,
apologize, but
no.
like, so let's say even like so many of these like I'm obviously out here working with a ton of producers and things like
Mm,
that. And I swear to God, most of the producers and the writers and stuff that I end up working with are like guys or girls that were like in bands that like didn't make it,
Mm,
but now they're like now they're like behind the scenes and killing it
mm,
because they went for, and it's like it's like that's what I always say. It's like, okay, yeah, follow your dreams, and like whatever happens, like you're gonna figure something out, like maybe you're not gonna be freaking Beyonce,
yeah,
but maybe you'll be the person that writes the next Beyonce's hit. You can't expect anything to come to you without, going for it. There's another a fun little thing, a quote that I heard that I think is so incredibly true. The harder I work, the luckier I get. And I think that's so true. Like, in other words, luck isn't necessarily luck. It's
yeah,
like if you were putting yourself out there and putting yourself in those situations and, putting the work in, chances are you're going to get the shot before somebody else. That as we put these songs out in this new album, that it really in the past also, we had to like claw our way with every success. It was like, yeah, we had to get in the van and just go. We had to do, 50 radio station visits a day and all this craziness. And I kind of feel as, that this album is just going to kind of get out there in these songs and just take on a real life of their own.
yeah. No, I really, really felt what you just said, and I'm really, really excited to hear the album and everything you have coming.
Well, thank
So
you. Thank
thank you so much for your time.